I guess this shiny light show can work for the intro. It's been a rough couple of seasons for the Sacramento Kings for several different reasons, rhyming accidentally. But Demarcus Cousins has been the head of the ship throughout the entire thing, one of the best big men and players in the NBA with his ability to score down low as well as rebound. But he's a bit of a hothead, and his relationship with George Karl last season was awful, and the team's defense was not much better. But Dave Joerger's the new head coach, and he's a defensive whiz from his years in Memphis. So the team definitely has to improve on that side of the floor, and it starts with Boogie. I mean, look, we've all seen the highlight of him just letting the dude on the Warriors score off of an inbound. So Boogie, you got to step it up on defense, man, okay? He's shown moments, but his consistency is the real problem there, and I'm going to be on him. I'm going to be like, listen, man, we need you to be the defensive anchor of this team, and I want you to be a leader. I want you to shut up all the critics out there who says you can't lead a team. So we're also going to be running a decent amount of the offense through him as well. He's a decent passer, and he can only get better. So my challenge to DeMarcus, all NBA first team, lead this team to the playoffs, be the defender and the playmaker that I know you can be, and let's turn this thing around. There are other players, of course, as well. There's Darren Collison, our point guard, jack of all trades, master of none. Definitely not my first choice for the point guard position, but nowhere near my last choice as well. He's effective in all areas of the floor, and given that we might have to make a lot of changes here, I like him at the point guard spot. Now, Arron Afflalo at the 2, I'm going to be honest, I'm not too jazzed about him. Now, he is an okay three-point shooter, and that's nice, being someone who can stretch the defense out, be someone that we can kick out to, help Boogie with his assist numbers. But as he's gotten older, his athleticism and his defense have dipped to the point where he's just a mid-tier shooting guard. Unless the guy is wide open for a 3, I don't really expect him to do too much for us. So, I mean, it is what it is. I actually think Ben McLemore could become our starting 2-guard. Look, he's had a lot of trouble since entering the NBA. A lot of inconsistencies with this franchise have really hurt him. I'm going to be asking him to do a lot of scoring and shooting off the bench, and I expect him to be someone we can go to. He can also jet up and down the floor, unlike Arron Afflalo. I really like McLemore's potential. And I'm talking about defense. Willie Cauley-Stein has potential to be one of the best defensive players in the NBA. With his athleticism and his size, I expect him to be our top defensive player, and I don't think it's going to take too long for that to happen. Now, he does have to improve pretty significantly on his rebounding, and from an offensive standpoint, we can't expect him to do much besides finish at the rim at this point. I mean, he's shown some life as a mid-range shooter, but it's really not enough for him to be reliable at that point. And to be honest, we might have to take him out at some points to get some shooting next to Boogie. Because if these two are in the game, the defense could just collapse on DeMarcus when he's posting up. And if Willie Cauley-Stein can't hit a mid-range, at times we might have to take him out of the game. But luckily, we do have Omri Caspi, who would be the perfect floor spacer next to Boogie, who can play the small ball 4. However, he is not going to give us anywhere close to the defense that Willie Cauley-Stein is. So the happy medium between the two of them could be Matt Barnes, who can't shoot like Caspi, but he's also a much better defensive player. So if Caspi's defense becomes too much of a problem, we could slide Matt Barnes into the small ball 4 spot, and hopefully his shooting can be good enough. Now, Ty Lawson is going to be our backup point guard. Let's be honest, it's the most Sacramento Kings thing ever to sign Ty Lawson at this point in his career. Could he be a scorer for us off the bench? Maybe. I'm not going to be asking too much of him, but if he has some moments, cool. And then we also have Costa Koufos, who can play about a solid 10 to 15 minutes for us at the backup center position. He's not going to make many mistakes. Nice, solid player. Now it's time for Rudy Gay, who is an isolation-heavy player. He needs the ball in his hand, but he's not a playmaker, so I don't really trust him with the ball in his hand, but that's pretty much how he gets all of his offense. And a lot of it is within the three-point line, which I don't know if I'm a fan of either. And when we're talking about defense, Rudy does not make you better on that side of the floor as well. So I think if there's anyone who's going to get traded on this team, it's going to be Rudy Gay, because I would kind of just like to have a team that's a bunch of shooters and defensive players with probably one other star surrounding DeMarcus Cousins. Rudy Gay doesn't exactly fit into the mold. Now, I don't want to give up on him just yet. I do think he has a place on the team, maybe as a sixth man or something, but if we were going to trade Rudy for a shooter as well as a defensive player, here are a couple of candidates. Of course, we're not going to get Kawhi or Clay or Paul George or Jimmy Butler, probably not even Avery Bradley or Chris Middleton, but once we get past those guys, we start to look at these names. Perhaps someone in there, Trevor Ariza, might fit the bill, something like that. Now, as for some other guys, Garrett Temple is intriguing. He is not a bad defensive player. He's also not a bad three-point shooter. Not really great at either one, but someone we can go to for some minutes every game. Skal Labissiere is also a project who really should not have come out of college this quickly, but he is a decent mid-range shooter, and if we fast forward a year or two, maybe he can be someone for us. But if I can predict this team right now, Boogie's going to be the guy, and we're going to have to see who else is along for the ride with this Sacramento team. Or, wait, what the hell is this? We're the 6th best team in the game? 2K, what? 8 and 13th equaling 6th, I don't know how that works, but what? The Kings were the worst defensive team in the league last year, man. Okay, I had to redo a couple attributes. I had to take down Boogie's defense. It was a little too generous. I did the same thing with Darren Collison. I also had to bump up Ben McLemore's speed because he was like low 70s. That dude's like ridiculously fast. What's up with that? And so now we're the 8th best team in the league. Holy hell, maybe everything I just said isn't going to matter. We're going to run through the league in one season. I don't know.